2.4 million pesos. Hindi bababa dyan ang kailangan gastusin para makabili ng isang modern jeepney. Bagamat may 160,000 pesos na
Ayaw namin yung 𝗣𝗍𝗆 yung jeep namin.
In the face of rapid modernization, it is important to recognize the significance of the jeepneys and strive to preserve it for future generations.
The impending phase-out of jeepneys in the Philippines poses a threat to the country's rich cultural heritage. Their removal could lead to a loss of heritage, disrupt communal bonds, and dilute cultural identity. Preserving jeepney is essential for safeguarding Filipino culture amidst modernization. Let us not trade our heritage for the sake of progress. Instead, let us embrace innovation while honoring our past, ensuring that the spirit of the jeepney continues to strive in the hearts and minds of Filipinos everywhere.
Jeepneys are not just transportation. They symbolize Filipino identity, community, and resiliency.
Kaya naman, phase out na naman. Sana huwag na. Wala ang masakay ng mga pasero eh. Mga ganyan, modernization. Ano bibili namin yan?
As the country moves towards a more sustainable and efficient transportation system, it is crucial that we approach this issue with empathy, understanding, and a commitment to finding a solution that is inclusive, sustainable, and beneficial for all. The heritage and livelihoods of the Filipino people should not be sacrificed in the name of modernization. The impending phase-out of jeepneys in the Philippines has stirred conflicting emotions among commuters, including a sense of loss and apprehension. Jeepneys are not only a mode of transportation, but also a symbol of Filipino culture and identity. The move to modernize public transportation and reduce carbon emissions is commendable, but concerns about the livelihoods of drivers and operators, as well as the lack of clear plans for their future, raise valid points of contention. There is a need for a more inclusive and transparent dialogue between the government, stakeholders, and the public to find a sustainable and equitable solution to the issue. While supporting efforts to upgrade public transportation, it is important to prioritize the welfare of those most affected by the phase-out.
Tayo ng mga praktisa, may tawag nila mga ulo. Hindi pa nahihiringan, wala pang nakakasalo sa paglalang ng order. Ayaw na tayo
Jeepneys have been used as a mode of transportation in the Philippines since the 1950s. After World War II, American troops left several wheelers jeep in the country, which Filipinos modified and turned into bus-like vehicles that can transport passengers. It is known for its crowded seating and not only a mode of transportation, but also symbolizes the Filipino identity, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Now, the Philippines faces a phase-out in the traditional jeepney. The majority of Filipinos rely on jeepneys as a means of transportation due to their affordability. For students, traditional jeepney offer a cost-effective way to commute to their school, universities, and other destinations, allowing them to save on transportation expenses. With the ongoing changes in the public transportation system, student commuters and minimum wage earner Filipinos faces various challenges such as increased transportation costs, longer commute times, and limited transportation options.
The jeepney phase-out is a multifaceted issue.
While modernization has its advantages, its effective implementation requires careful planning to address the challenges faced by commuters and the drivers.
Yung modernization na yan, napakamahal nung nung mga minibus na yan eh. Magkano yan? 2 million? Hindi kayang ng maliliit na katulad naming operator yan.
The phase-out of jeepneys in the Philippines underscores a critical tension between modernization imperatives and social equity considerations. The transition to a more effective transportation system is commendable, but it is also important to acknowledge the long-term socio-economic effects on the impoverished groups that depend on jeepneys for their daily needs. These iconic vehicles are more than just means of transportation. They stand for an epicenter of economic vitality, social cohesiveness, and cultural identity. Prioritizing social equality in a transition plan means making sure that drivers and operators impacted by the plan have access to a wide range of supports, such as restraining programs, financial aid, and alternate sources of income. Ignoring these factors runs the risk of exacerbating the inequality gap and omitting the voices of the most vulnerable in the pursuit of progress.
The jeepney phase-out in the Philippines could significantly impact social equity by disproportionately affecting marginalized communities who heavily rely on this mode of transportation. For many Filipinos, especially those in lower income brackets, jeepneys are not just a means of getting from point A to point B. They represent a lifeline, providing affordable and accessible transportation. The phase-out, without adequate alternatives, could lead to job losses for jeepney drivers and operators, exacerbating poverty and inequality. Moreover, it could hinder access to essential services for residents in marginalized areas, increase transportation costs for those who are already struggling financially, and potentially erase a cultural icon that holds significance for many Filipinos. To mitigate these impacts, policymakers need to ensure that the transition is inclusive, taking into account the needs of affected communities and promoting equitable access to transportation alternatives.
Critics should consider the need for a more gradual and inclusive approach while considering the socio-economic impact on communities while undergoing the modernization process.
From its affordability to its beauty, the jeepney has been an important part of the Philippine transportation system. With its unique patterns and designs, it shows off the lives of the drivers and the rich culture of Filipinos.
Amidst rising fuel prices and operational costs, the prospect of losing their traditional livelihood weighed heavily on their minds. As a student navigating the economic impact of change, I stand at the intersection of tradition and progress, embodying the resilience and spirit of the Filipino people. Together, we forge ahead, embracing the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead on the road to a brighter tomorrow.
Jeepney is a vehicle that is unique to the Philippines. In that sense, it has been an important part of the Filipino culture, something that can only be seen inside the borders of the country. An inherently Filipino vehicle. Unlike any other vehicles, like buses, taxis, or trains, jeepneys are heavily customized and filled with what seem to be a maximalist type of art. With splashes and bursts of colors, jeepney's art encapsulates the lives of the driver and the culture of Filipinos. Some may display religious arts, and some will put a funny banner inside. Others even put the name of their children in their jeepneys. All of these expressions of art is what sets jeepneys apart from other vehicles, in addition to its affordability.
Ngayon walang kahati ng init pag maulan.